Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cinema Regulars, our new podcast-ish type show where we see so many films in theaters that the employees know us by name and they don't ask what movies we're seeing, they ask how many. I'm Kellen and I'm joined by Isaac, and we
Hi.
tend to see a lot of movies. So every once in a while, we'll go see a bunch in a row and we will talk about what we saw that day. So today we had just come back from a triple feature. We saw Gran Turismo, we saw Retribution, and then we rounded it off with the 30th anniversary 3D special showing of Jurassic Park. Now, Isaac, I think we should
Yeah.
kick this off with talking about the first movie we saw, Gran Turismo. I'll let you spew
Absolutely.
your basic thoughts about it, and then we'll go into my basic thoughts, and then we'll cover, specific details we liked about it, and then we'll round it off at the end with our overall rating of the movie. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right,
All right.
then you have the floor, my man.
All right. Uh this movie, I went into it thinking it was going to be just a simple, racing movie, like there's a million of those. But it actually was a lot better than I thought it would be. Like it had this kind of charm to it that really pulled me in, and I really liked it. It it it's hard to like put into words what exactly about it was that the story was just very well told, and
Right.
that it was the fact that it was a movie about a story that already exists and that we already know the outcome to, yet it still was captivating, was very surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, I think on top of that is like, well, yes, we know this is a true story about a kid, a video gamer who became a driver. Um, he is relatively unheard of by the basic populace. So we don't know every single beat of the story that's going to happen, whether he's going to win or lose which race, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, because I'll say there were definitely like certain aspects of the movie. Right away. Now, if we're gonna dip into spoiler territory for a minute, the fact that he crashed his car and ended up killing a person was definitely like a dark twist tone, and the fact that he had to, come to accept that like his crash caused someone to die was like a surprising turn in the movie that I wasn't really expecting, but I felt it was very emotional and impactful and played off rather well.
Yeah, that was something that definitely surprised me too, because I just thought of, like, I know, like, we know the end product. We know he goes on to do racing, but like all the, I guess, the telling of this origin story was very was very very well done, and that moment where he does have that down the downbeat of he he might not ever race again. Like he doesn't know if he can get behind the wheel. And
Right.
that's where, like, I liked that they had that mentor, Jack. I want to Yeah, that was his name. Like, how the two of them had very parallel yet different stories.
Yeah.
They're outsiders who wound up being accepted. Well, not really accepted, but they wound up getting a shot at something that only a small percent of the populace either can do or afford to do.
Yeah.
And
And then
then, like, the fact that he used his story to kind of push him forward was very, like, it's a very inspiring story.
Yeah.
Did you have any other like basic hits on the movie you wanted to talk about?
Um, yeah, okay, so I felt that going into this, I'm not a big fan of sports movies or even, cars and racing movies. Like I've told you multiple times that no matter how many of them they put out, I'm never going to watch a single one of the Fast and Furious movies because I just don't care.
That's fair.
So automatically, the subject was not something I was going to be into, but it was that PlayStation video game to actual racer angle that got me interested, and then there were little aspects of it. I wasn't like excited for this, but I was willing to go watch it, and I'm actually glad I did. I thought it played off very well. There were so many like interesting little tidbits that I'll go into later when we get into that section that I thought just played off really well in the moment. Um, I will say this one goes on the tier chart. I did tear up a little bit at certain parts in the movie, specifically when he crashed his car, and you just get that scene of his mom and dad watching at home where they don't know if their son they just watched live over TV their son crash into a burning car and they don't even know if he's alive yet. I like the emotional beats in this movie are very impactful. I will say
Yeah,
that.
they definitely are. Like I was tearing up a bit at this movie, but like I actually teared up a couple times. Once at that scene, and like all like I'm a sucker. I'm sure you know by now. Like I'm a sucker for inspirational moments, like moments
Oh,
where someone
yeah.
rallies and stuff like that, and or like or just like it's just or people coming together for a common cause kind of thing that also gets me.
Yeah.
Like, and
And
so like
that was kind of like the whole movie was
yeah,
that.
like the whole movie is that uh it's changing it's about changing the world's perception on on
Gamers and like
gamers, yeah,
yeah.
because it's showing that they aren't just slackers who sit in their rooms doing this. At least not all of them are. Like there are people out there
Yeah.
that take this very seriously, and it's
Right.
like they're not
Like it start
just.
like the movie starts off like within the first like 20 or 30 minutes like they're already like you are the number one best player in the region at this game. And like
Mhm.
even like I know even the unsupportive dad character in the beginning like even I'm like come on dude like I know you don't really like approve of your son sitting around playing these games but the fact that he's number one at it that you should at least be proud of him on that. But I'm glad he
Exactly.
came around.
Yeah, that was something that was very. That's another moment that teared me up there because like
Oh yeah,
like
dude! All the scenes like after like the halfway mark, like once his father comes around to it, like all the scenes between him and his dad are just so on point. They're so good, so
oh
emotional,
yeah,
man.
like I gotta give props like when I first like saw like the trailers for this movie, I was like hearing like the actor that played Jan uh
Yeah,
like his voice got like it was his voice that was kind of getting to me, but like by the time we were
just because
like
he's
30
British.
minutes into the movie. Well, not just because he's British. It's just I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. It was just like it just kind of I don't know what it was about it, but like the actor that played him did a very good job. Like it was very good
Yes.
acting,
Yeah.
very very well done. He did a very good job portraying like the awkward teen kind of not awkward teen, kind of awkward maybe socially inept, like gamer.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I
Well,
would
well,
just
like
say that he's
I'm.
more. I don't know. I just thought he played the role very well. Like I
He
wouldn't.
did. He did a very good job playing the
Yeah.
role, and like
I,
also like I thought it would distract me with like the other actors that were in this movie because like I had never heard of this guy before, like the guy that played Jan. But like you
yeah.
have like Orlando Bloom and David Harbour next to them,
Yeah.
like those are
Not to
big. Those
mention.
are big names.
Yeah. I will say. I will say. Anytime that anyone like snapped and started yelling in this movie, like I was like taken aback a bit. I'm like, oh shit, like that's like coming from a real place, you know. Like after he wakes up in the hospital bed and he yells at them to
Oh
just go away
yeah.
and leave him alone. I was like, oh dude, gee,
Like that was
like
that
like
was very good.
that was that scene is when I was like, okay, yeah, they picked a good guy. They picked a good actor there.
They did, and speaking along the lines of like when people would yell at people, like the whole thing of Jack like pushing them or like his speech at the beginning where he's telling
Yeah,
them like I'm here, like you're all here to prove that you can do this. I'm here to prove that you cannot. And like he's just like pushing them and they're persevering besides that. Like that is that
right.
it was very well, it was just a very well done thing. Like the
Yeah, I
movie
thought so.
as a movie, like even if this was completely fictional, like this would still be a very inspirational movie.
Right, right. Um, okay. Let's move on to the more finer details of the movies, things we liked, things we didn't like.
Yes,
I'll start
please.
us off with the fact that this was a PlayStation Productions movie. Now, I
Mm.
didn't watch the Uncharted movies because um, Tom Holland in that was a mistake, and I wouldn't stand for that. So I don't know if they had the whole PlayStation Productions thing, the whole logo, the intro sequence that they played in there, which was very impressive actually for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as you mentioned to me before, that this was Gran Turismo was kind of the thing that got Sony to make the PlayStation console in the first place.
Yes, it
It would be a
was.
good yeah, it would be a good parallel if this was the first movie to bring Sony into the PlayStation film industry and start doing that. Um,
Yes, that would be
yeah,
very good parallel.
I'm saying all this completely without fact checking and seeing if there were any other PlayStation production movies. I'm just saying I haven't seen any, and that would be a good parallel if that were.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. Um, I think that they incorporated the video game and PlayStation aspect very smoothly and like I don't know how to describe it, but it was just like little moments where I was just like, "Ooh, I like that." Like
It
every
was
time, like
it was
they
done
would like.
very subtly.
Well, I wouldn't say subtly. I'm saying like they would pause the race at increments, and then they would have like a little PlayStation noise pop up, and they would show you exactly where, like which car is his, which car is Jan's, and where he is, and
Mhm.
what place. They would like have like a little PlayStation pause thrown up. Um,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. The fact every time that they would um overlap his surrounding, like when he's playing the game and then they like put all the pieces of the car around him and then you see like him in the car on the track and then him in the chair in the game. Like I thought those were all done really smoothly and fluidly.
Yeah, that was actually a cool moment. The cool thing I wanted to bring up because like in the start of the movie,
Yeah.
it was him sitting in the chair, and the car would get built around him. And then
Yeah, like it's like
in the last race,
it's like he's really on the track, right?
Yeah, and then in the last race, it went from him actually in a car racing in on this physical track, and then the car just like breaks away, and it's him sitting in his room playing the game at home.
Right. It's a good
Like,
parallel between the um it starts off with him playing the game. He's like, yeah, it's like I'm right on the track, and then at the end, it's like he's on the track, and he's like, it's just like I'm playing the game.
yeah, exactly. Like it was a very good like l- like you said, it was a good parallel. It was just good
Yeah.
progression of his way of thinking, and like one of the reasons why why he was successful in his endeavor to do it is that it's it's bringing a different style of thinking to something that has only really been thought of one way for so long.
Right.
Like
Yeah. I
he's
yeah.
and like
I thought it was good.
they even said at one point that like most of those racers, like the actual racers, like he's clocked more time on these tracks than most of these other racers have in their entire career.
Yeah.
Like before he even set foot on a track. Which is
Yeah.
kind of cool to have because it just shows you just how much they put into the game itself. Like this is also an incredibly effective like advertisement for Gran Turismo itself.
True. Dude,
Like if it
if they had dropped a new Gran Turismo game like as this movie came out, like sale prices would be skyrocketing.
oh yeah, like the game is really cool and like it makes me want to go out and play some driving games like just to play it like
Yeah.
because
There was an arcade right next door. I don't know why we had time after the first movie. I don't know why we didn't play any of those.
yeah, we should have. Like it would have been great. Should have
Yeah.
thrown in some Crazy Taxi, you know?
Okay, one more little detail I liked before I pass it over to yours. Um I did like that it didn't they had the academy where they brought in like the top 10 best players and then they weeded them out one by one until it was just him left. But I was actually surprised when they brought the second and third place guys back for the final race where it was like a relay thing. And then they even had like the fourth and fifth place people like joining them and watching them from like the luxury box or whatever. Like I thought that was cool. Like it wasn't just s- like just solely him that came out of this um like this contest that they did. Like even like the third second, third, fourth place people they did mention that they were running real run like lower circuit races. Um so it wasn't just him who became a real racer after this. Like the other ones went on too, and then they even all came back at the end to do that. I thought that was a nice touch that it wasn't like solely just on him at the end.
Yeah, that was actually really cool. And like that moment, because I know nothing about that type of racing. But like the fact that the final race is a 24-hour like you're slotting dudes in and out, that is
Yeah.
insane. Like I was seeing that and I'm like the fact that this man did a 24-hour race and like I did the math. He slotted he was in I believe my math ended up being like he was driving 4 of the slots cuz they were
Well,
doing 3, 9, 12, 15, and like they were going up in increments of 3. They were driving in increments of 3
yeah.
hours
Well,
and
the last one, like he just conked out halfway through or something. Like he started cramping up and he couldn't finish it. So I don't even know how long he was driving before that.
uh yeah, the last one he ended up driving the last 4 hours of the race.
Yeah.
Like that is an insane amount of like endurance. Like
Right. Like, how do you
this
how do you even
movie,
have fans for that? How do you even have fans for that? You're there for like the kickoff, and then you just watch at home, off and on, and then you just come back the next day for the finish. I'm like, dude. But
yeah,
there's the rednecks who are there with the tents and barbecues, and they're there the whole 24 hours.
well, like yeah, there's probably those guys, but like this is a big sport in like in Europe and everything. Like it really is. Like America is kind of like we have NASCAR. They go in a circle. Like
We
that's
go NASCAR. Yeah.
like
Anyway,
but like those tracks they have over there. Like I did not know that how physically demanding those driving one of these things is. Like the fact that they can even focus while going at the speeds that they're going is insane.
right.
And like I feel like this movie did a very good job because like we've been kind of like well I should say we've but like they Hollywood has kind of desensitized us with driving fast because like with
Yeah.
movies like you said like the Fast and the Furious movies and stuff, they've made it look easy
Right.
where you see this movie portrayed very well that this is not an easy thing to do. It is hard work and it requires it almost just requires talent. Like you can try and brute force it and I'm sure you
Yeah.
could get through it, but like you need to have instinct and you need to have just commitment and the fact
Well,
like when I saw when I saw the trailer I was like and I heard the dude be like oh these guys are like elite level athletes. I'm like are they really and like no they need to be.
yeah, like there was a point where it's like it's physically stressful, like it like to do that. Like they said like you have to like work out and test your and like push your endurance. Like you're not just like sitting there in while the machine's going fast and turning the little wheel like regular cars. Like you are being hit with like G forces and being slammed around and like stuff inside there. So it is dangerous and it's like actual hard physical work to drive one of those things.
Yeah,
And
and to be able
this
to
movie, I agree with you. This movie did kind of like realize that and show you how hard it is to actually drive a race car.
yeah um I think this movie just all around was pretty top notch. Like
Yeah.
it was a very good story.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping up Gran Turismo, the acting was very good. The story was actually gripping and interesting, even though I'm not into sports and or driving movies. I think this is probably going to be one of the greatest racing movies ever made. And yes, I'm including the entire Cars trilogy.
Yo, that's high praise,
Um,
my guy.
I will give this a middle eight, like an 8.5 out of 10. I very much enjoyed this movie. I don't think I would I don't think I would ever buy it on DVD or digital or anything like that. I don't think I'd ever go out of my way to watch it again, but it was a good movie, a powerful movie, and an interesting movie. So that's what you got for me.
Yeah, I was thinking in the same area. I was struggling between like a high like a high 7 or in a low but I think I'm gonna put it at like a low 8. Like I was bouncing between the two. Well,
Okay.
when I say low eight, I'm thinking like an eight, like an 8 point, like an 8.25, like an 8 and a quarter kind of thing, like that area.
All right.
Cause
So around the same, around the same.
yeah, around the same area. Like it's definitely an 8 out of 10 movie. Like I I liked again the acting and all of the visual effects in this movie were stunning, and I was shocked by the
Oh,
amount of actual racing footage we got, like the amount of actual
yeah.
driving they
We
did, because they could have
yeah,
completely CGI'd this whole movie.
yeah. I'm
And
I'm I'm impressed by that too.
I also like the fact
Also,
that the guy that the story is based on
I was
was the
just
stunt
gonna bring that
driver.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, he was the
the
stunt
stunt
driver
driver
for the
and
guy
stunt double.
playing him.
Yeah, that's yeah. So you literally get to see the actual man's real talent on screen.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right.
this movie definite 8 out of 10.
All right. All right. Our next movie we are talking about will be Retribution, starring Liam Neeson. I'll
Ah,
kick
yes,
this one off
another
first.
Liam Neeson action movie.
And that's actually pretty much all it was. Through the trailers, I was interested. I mean, I like Liam Neeson. Um, I like his movies. This one had an interesting concept. The bomb under the seat. He's got his kids in the car. He's got to do what this shady voice uh, guy's telling him to. And I won't say this was a bad movie. I would say this is a good movie. I did enjoy myself there. It's just that I felt that there wasn't enough to it. Like I wish there was like another 20 or 30 minutes or something where they could have done something, a bit bigger and more complex. Um I don't know. I thought the reveal of the bad guy over the phone was a bit lackluster and had a couple uh plot holes in it. Um
Yeah,
dipping into very quickly dipping into spoiler territory here. The bad guy ended up being his best friend who quote unquote died earlier in the movie when he was supposed to shoot him, but then he just blew up the car after the train passed. The train passing right in front of that and then the car blowing up after, I immediately that hit something in the back of my head like, oh, did he get away? Is he not in there? Did they switch him out? Something like that. Like it just like I've seen too many movies like that where that automatically looked suspicious. Um, but then
yeah.
like, but him in the car across the railroad track and the guy on the phone with Liam Neeson were both at points talking at the same time or back and forth. And Liam Neeson was kind of like looking at the guy the whole time, his friend. So
Hmm.
I don't know. You could explain that away, like, oh, that part was pre-recorded or something like that. But I don't know. That just rubs me the wrong way. Plus, he puts a gun in the glove box and says, shoot him. You have to shoot him." So there was like a non-zero chance that he would have actually just shot his friend there to save his kids and himself. So I don't know what his plan was going to be. I mean, again, you could probably explain that away, like, oh, he's been his best friend for 18 years. He knows he wouldn't shoot him. Like he knew what he was already going to think. But like, I mean, why would you even take
Yeah,
that chance?
I.
And not I mean, they could have mentioned it. Like they could
Hmm.
have like when in the
This
reveal, they could have like said like,
the
"Oh, I knew you weren't gonna shoot me. I'm your best friend." Or just like, "Oh, I even
Mhm.
pre-recorded those lines over the phone to trick you," or something. But
Yeah, like
I don't know.
the bad guy's plan in this movie like has so many plot holes in it that it's like trying to follow a grand scheme jigsaw trap from the Saw movies. Like
Right. Like
some of
I
these
mean, I kind of made that comparison in my mind, but like, because I was gonna say, like, at least with Saw, like, it goes back a few steps and explains like every little thing that they were putting in front of your face. Now that you know
Hmm.
the answer, it all connects back and forth, and it gives you all the answers like leading up to that. And like every single Saw movie, there's like this big mind blown at the end where they bring everything collapsing down onto you at once, which is what
Hmm.
I like about the Saw movies. But this, it's kind of he just takes off the mask and he's like, yeah, it was me, got ya." And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And
Well, the,
and that, and
the
like and that was kind of it.
the at least with the Saw movies, you get the suspension of disbelief in the fact that
Right.
the man is preying on human, like he understands like human nature. Like they like any plot holes they have in Saw movies where with his stuff
Okay.
is
Yeah.
he's
Well, I mean,
banking on
yeah, like
human
with Saw.
nature.
Yeah, but this one, it's just some hedge fund guy, and I don't even know like what
He's just
he's
like, I tricked you
thinking, was
all.
doing. Yeah, I don't. He didn't even build the bombs himself, bro.
Yeah, no, he hired some
They're
people to
throwing
throw
up
bombs
dark
underneath these
web and
dudes' things.
crypto, and I'm like, dude, what is? When was
Like,
that ever
bruh,
anything to do with this movie? I don't know.
like
I liked it. It was, uh,
the movie was exactly what it was advertised to be, and almost and pretty much nothing more.
yes, yes. He 100% got arrested by the end, though. At the end, it
Like
just cuts to
100%.
black with him in a river, but he 100% got arrested and went to court over this. I don't know. I don't know what the
Like he
results
might have
were, but
gotten a
like
sympathetic jury.
maybe like he had some evidence that it wasn't him, but like he had all the cops after them, like all the belief was that he was behind all the bombings, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, the movie, like, if you watch the movie and you take it at face value and you just kind of shut your brain off and watch it, it's a decent action movie. But like if you try to analyze it as an actual movie, it just kind of fell short. Like it wasn't anything amazing and great, and like it was just another Liam Neeson action movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Liam Neeson action movies are good. Like they made three of them in the same universe. Like they're good. It's just I don't know. I kind of with the premise of what it was, I was kind of expecting something a little more.
Exactly. Um. All right. Any little details or things that we kind of liked? I again, um, cutting straight to the ending. The way that he gets out of the bomb pressure plate under his seat. I like that he drives the car into the bridge railing and he gets turned sideways, so all that he and the bad guys in the back seat with his seatbelt buckled. So all Neeson had to do was just unbuckle himself and free fall into the water while he left the car to explode. Yeah, no, I like even in the theater you saw me, I was like, ooh, big brain move. That's how you do it. Like I thought that was at least a little clever.
Yeah,
There
that
were
was like
there
one of
were
the. Go ahead.
there was a couple scenes where when the cars blow off and then they just like get debris and like blood and guts and like dirt and ash like all over the car, and like just the fact that like the car itself just getting worse and worse throughout the movie. And it's just funny to me because like the first bomb goes off and he gets like blood and guts and pus all smeared over the windshield and he just wipes it away. So you get all this grime, and then the second car blows up, and you get like shrapnel puncturing the sides and injuring his daughter. And you get all this ash and stuff blowing out his windows. And then he gets stopped by the cops, and they literally unscrew all the doors, so he doesn't have any doors anymore for the rest of the movie. And then at the end, finally the car blows up, and I'm just like, "Fuck this car, man!"
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're. the scenes where like some of the scenes with the cars exploding was really nice. Like I too like the scene where he just falls away from the car, but I have to say one of my favorite moments was when after the car that supposedly had the bad guy in it like
Yeah.
exploded and like the shrapnel ripped through the car like it was just bullets going through. Like that was very well done. Like I really
Yeah,
liked the visual of that.
I like that. Um, I
Other than
like
that, like
the son actor, the actor for Liam Neeson's son. I thought he did a pretty good job.
do you actually know who that is?
Yeah, it said Jack Champion or something like that.
Yeah, do you recognize him?
Was he?
He was in
I
another movie we saw this year.
Not off the top of my head. What was it?
He was one of the killers in Scream 6.
Oh,
He was the
well,
scraggly haired kid.
yeah. Spoilers for Scream 6, by the way.
Yeah. Oops, my bad.
That's fine. Um, but yeah. Come to think of it, that was him. Yeah. So, I like that actor. I hope to see more from him in the future. I think he should get more jobs, more acting
He did a
roles.
good
I
job.
He did a decent job. Like he felt like an annoying, not annoying, but like an annoyed, whatever kind of teenage son. I mean, it wasn't a hard role to pull off, but like I didn't think of him as anything else for even a second. Like
Like,
he
like there were some moments where I'm
immediately
actually
pulled
sitting
me
here
into
like,
that role.
yeah, there's some moments where I'm like, wow, he actually fucking hates his dad.
Yeah.
Like he
Uh,
does. But no, like the acting was good. The story, it's just the I was just expecting more. That's all it was. It was like the only shortcomings this movie has is based on my own preconceived notions on what it would be when we walked in.
yeah, I suppose.
I was
So
expecting it to be more.
yeah, yeah. So wrapping up Retribution, a lot earlier than we did Gran Turismo. I'm gonna clock this in at a very low 6. Um,
Uh,
and for reference, a kind of average, really nothing to say anything about, like nothing to write home about. It was this kind of nothing movie is about a 5. I don't like to go very low unless a movie is just egregiously bad and deserves it. Um, so the average, like the baseline for a movie, like yes, this is a movie, the most movie to ever movie, that would be a 5. So
yeah.
6.1 is just like a couple French fries on top of that. So like it had enough good parts about it, enough things I liked. I really liked the premise. I just was just kind of disappointed with what they did with it. So I think a low 6, like a 6.1, would be a good place for this movie.
Yeah, I struggled with it for a bit, and I just couldn't bring myself to put it in the 6. Like it's a high 5, definitely, but like in my opinion, it didn't break that barrier enough. Like again, there were
Really?
moments that I really liked. Yeah, there were moments that I really liked, but it's just the movie was just kind of generic, and like it had a
I
really
guess.
interesting premise. It had a like at least for me at least, like I liked the premise, like same as you. Like it was a cool premise, but even with that cool premise, they still somehow managed to make a generic action movie. You know?
True.
Like Like I agree with
I
you
don't
when you said earlier, like if they would have added like another 20, 30 minutes to just add a little more depth to this movie and a little more
exactly,
complexity, it would be phenomenal. But
exactly.
they did
Well,
it just kind of felt rushed.
yeah. Do you at the very least do you understand what I mean? But that when I say everything about this movie just screams 6 out of 10.
I agree with you. Like
Like,
I
no,
agree.
I don't need
I
you to agree. I mean, do you understand what I mean when this movie just gives off six energy?
Oh yes, it does. It very much
Okay.
does. I'm just
Thank you.
downgrading it
He
a bit.
finally admits it. After 29 years, he finally admits it.
But like it does exude that. It's just in my opinion, like just the fact that it was just another generic movie. I didn't I that's why I
Like it's
decided to
al-
give it
like
a
it's
5 out of
almost
10.
like it's almost worse that it had a good premise and didn't do enough with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's still a movie. It's still a decent movie. Like it's not bad. It's just it's not gonna win any awards or anything, you
Yeah.
know?
I outside of like a podcast something like this, I wouldn't have more than maybe 3 to 4 sentences to say about it.
Yeah. Like if someone were to walk up to me on the street and be like, how was it? And it was like
How was it?
it it, it was like it was all right, you know?
Before we move on to Jurassic Park, I will just say at a little as a little PS here postscript. The best thing to come out of this movie was the fat bearded guy who showed up at the theater my brother works at, trying to get in to see this movie, because they had already. I'll tell this story very fast. My brother had already clocked out, grabbed his stuff, and left out the doors. The doors were locked behind him, so he couldn't get back in even if he wanted to. The theater was shutting down, and a fat bearded guy comes up to him and says, "Where's your 8:45 showing of Retribution?" Like he starts like getting up in my brother's grill, and my brother's just like, "I can't do anything to help you. I'm gone. I don't have any control. I work concessions. I can't reinvent showings for you." And he only got into the car and found out that the guy had just gone to the wrong theater entirely. And he's just like, "You've lost a customer." And he's like, "We're closed. You weren't going to be a customer anyway." So that's probably the best thing to ever that's ever going to come out of Retribution, at least in my household. But I think enough's enough on this movie, and I think we should move on to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so this first of all, Jurassic Park instant classic. Like the
True. I mean,
to
what more can we say that hasn't been said by hundreds of movie reviewers already? So for the most part, we're not going to be rating Jurassic Park on its own as a movie, but more so how the new remaster of it that was released for the 30th anniversary into 3D was. I could have sworn that they've done 3D for Jurassic Park before, or at least some
the
versions of
movie.
it. But I think they completely redid the 3D effects now for
Oh, they 100% did.
yeah. So we'll be more focusing on how the effects held up, how the 3D looked, what was
Hmm.
benefited from it. Isaac, if you
So
don't
I want
mind,
to
if I
go
can
ahead.
go first on this. Um, um, so an im- so an important point that I bring up a lot about 3D movies, especially 3D movies now, or remastering older movies, especially for 3D, is that when people think of 3D movies, they think of things like how in Monsters versus Aliens, immediately when it opens up, there's that one guy with the paddle ball and it's just bouncing out at you. And even if you've like never seen it before, you immediately look at that and see, oh, this was made for 3D. They wanted you to pay the extra $2-3 to see this in 3D when it first came out. There's movies where they obviously do things like, oh, that's supposed to be in 3D because they're like pushing stuff out towards the camera at you. But when it's things like Jurassic Park that we just saw, or last year when I took my brother to see Jaws when they remastered it for 3D, that people don't talk about is how it's also expanding the depth, like how back away things really are. Like in the opening scene of Jurassic Park, where they're shipping in the Velociraptor, right? You see like the group of like 5 or 6 guys back there standing with their guns, and you can immediately see like the gaps in between them, like they are like behind each other, like they actually feel like further away from you. Like it's not all flat and popping out at you, like its stuff is going back into, like pushing back into the screen as well. And I think that's equally as impressive as stuff popping out at you, as stuff feeling more further away from you as well.
Yeah, that is something that I am very impressed with, the evolution of 3D cinema, because I had written 3D cinema off a while ago. Like the last thing I saw in 3D at the TV on the big screen was when Man of Steel came out, and even that
Oh
was
boy.
like kind of yeah, whatever. But like over the past year, like when we went, ever since we gave the original Avatar a shot in
Yeah.
3D, that was eye opening to how much this had
Yeah.
come along. And some movies, it is worth it, because you're right. Like it just some movies, just adding that depth just really helps with the immersion. And Jurassic Park, a movie that has been around for 30 years,
30
like
years.
before
That's
either
the
of us were
anniversary.
even born.
Yeah.
Like like just to have that extra little bit, like it made it it it,
It
it,
made you
it
it,
made so much
it
stuff
made you
better.
yeah, it made you feel like you were there. And that's
Yes.
what I liked about it.
Now,
Like some hang on. So some specific scenes that I felt like really, really benefited from the 3D. The Velociraptor hatching from the egg.
mhm,
That felt like I was like right in front of it, watching it happen with them.
yeah,
The scene where they're climbing over the electric fence, and you have all those like low angles, like shooting up, like it. You really see like how high up they are.
yeah.
Um, what was the other one? There was one more that I thought was really good. Oh, the car in the tree. Like you
Oh,
see like
yes.
each individual branch like at different like levels, like behind and in front of you, and stuff like the branches really being spread out and being up that high. Like it really like framed everything and gave you a better scope of like the height that
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that are at, or like how far away or something. Like the mountains in the background are like way, way in the
Mhm.
background.
Yeah, like this, it did it did it did wonders for a lot of scenes. Like one of my favorite things that I noticed with the 3D was the scene with the Triceratops, with it being there. Like
Oh,
that's when I that's like when I
yeah,
noticed it, like that's when I really noticed that, like, the 3D enhanced dramatically all of the practical effects they did in this movie. And we can talk more
yeah,
about how well those have held up later, but like it
yeah.
it just made those all the more better. Now, with translating a movie as old as this is to 3D now, there are some issues. in it. Like there are a lot of
Right.
upsides, and we've talked about those, but there were a couple downsides.
Such as?
Uh, Such as like the scene where they are watching the the video that they have set up, and it's like set behind like the camera is set behind them. They put them
Oh
like
yeah.
they were so far in the foreground that it literally looked like someone just sat down in front of us in front of the movie, and we're like, hey, like
Yeah, dude, I, f- I don't. Somewhere back in my mind, felt like that was just someone sitting in front of me, like they're watching the little Mr. DNA cartoon thing, and you see their heads in front of there. I tried like moving mine around, like I tried like leaning to the left and right to see past them, only to be just like, oh, that's in the movie.
yeah, like I had the same
Which,
thing, and
if anything,
it wasn't the only time that something like that happened too.
that should just be more like a positive thing. Like it's so believable. You're so really there. You try looking around the heads of people in the movie. You think that people are real.
That is fair. It's just sometimes like the stuff that they move to the foreground with the 3D, like it was it was just kind of weird sometimes, you know, like it just
Yeah.
felt really far forward, like, and that's to no fault. Like they have to draw the foreground somewhere, and along with the background, and like if they're trying to add a lot of depth, like they need to, you know, bring stuff forward as well to add
Right.
that. And like it was like it wasn't so often that it was distracting. I mean, in the moments it was distracting, but like in the sense of like it was few enough where it was forgivable.
Right. I
And
understand.
like
I honestly, I feel like that the 3D effects benefited the movie more than it hurt the movie. Definitely by a
that is fair.
long shot.
Oh, 100%. The only thing I could say that I was able to differentiate is like I could more easily tell when they were using the practical and when they were using CGI, which again only helped
Right.
in the movie's case because I didn't realize just how much of this movie was practical until
Yeah,
watching it
they
like this.
they did quite a bit. Like you said, that Triceratops, like even sitting in the I've seen the movie like a lot of times, but sitting there in the big screen, in the the you got the best sound in the biz, in 3D, right? Remaster and all that. Seeing that Triceratops, it just looked so good, you know? Like even
It
after all
did.
these years, those effects hold up so well, and the fact that they're practical are mind blowing. I I will always love this. Like I always love this detail of the Triceratops, and seeing it in 3D just made that love all the way deeper. Is the little cracks on the tips of the
Yes.
horns. I love that detail so much. It just looks so cool, and like it looks like it's this thing is they didn't just make like a perfect Triceratops. Like this thing has been ramming its horns into stuff for a while. Like it has battle damage and scars and stuff. And it's the little like the cracks throughout it. The it just looks so good. I don't know. I could go on and on about the cracks in a Tyrannosaurus or Triceratops, little three horn,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
I can
to
go
be
on
fair,
and on about that.
the Triceratops is my favorite uh dinosaur. Like it always has been.
Dinosaur?
Like yeah. Like I have
Yeah.
always loved the Triceratops because it like it's one of them dinosaurs that goes like that theoretically and probably and more most likely probably has gone toe to toe with like T-Rexes and stuff to defend its, herd and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, and another detail that I like that they did uh with it was the spikes on its frill. I didn't realize how much of it, like how thin they were. Like they made them like almost like blades around it. And I
Yeah.
like that because I never really liked it when it was just like more horns or like tiny little stubs. Like no, they have a purpose there. Like they are there to inflict damage as well, and they did a very very good job portraying all of these dinosaurs in this movie, and it was so well done. And the amount of man hours that went into this movie to make all these things, like the fact that the T-Rex is practical in about half the shots that it's in, is mind-boggling.
Exactly.
And the fact that like the velociraptors are like, if I remember correctly, it's people in suits.
I
It's
think
not a
so.
robot.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it is a suit. Then they just kind of like CGI'd out the stuff, like the
The
leg, the
robot.
actual. Well, they I
Five
CGI'd out
Nights
all
at
like all the.
Jurassic Parks.
But
Don't
no,
laugh
like,
at that.
but just how much of this movie was practical
Yeah.
just blows my mind. Like
And
the
and
effects of this movie only get better with age.
yeah, and we love us some practical effects.
Oh yes, I am a huge sucker for practical effects. Like I will, like I mean, there's a reason why the Terrifier movies are some of the best slasher movies as of late, or
Yeah.
full stop. Honestly,
That's a video for another day.
that is a video we could talk for hours about Terrifier. We'll save it for when
Yeah.
Terrifier 3 comes out.
Well, that's a promise. That's a promise.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Before we wrap this up, I'll do one little funny thing here. So as of late, I've been obsessed with that video meme where the two guys are looking up at the completely destroyed and crushed car up in the tree, and then they're laughing at
Yeah.
it. And the one guy goes up and goes, "I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no
Hey,
gas
got
in
no
it."
confidence.
That's comedy gold in my opinion. So I absolutely love, by sheer chance, that we had a perfect lineup where I was able to make that joke in all three movies.
Oh yeah, with the car
Like
scene, in Jurassic Park.
the car in the tree in Jurassic Park, the car crashing on the course in Gran Turismo, and then pretty much anytime any car exploded in Retribution, I would just turn to you or my brother and just go, "I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it."
It was so good. Like it was just a perfect storm of like
It was the
things that we
perfect
can make that
storm of
joke with.
destroyed cars. All right. So I'm not exactly sure how we even rate this.
I was
But
thinking that when we talk about the older movies, we don't really we don't really rate it because it's, you can't really rate the movie because, especially a movie like this, like it's a
yeah,
classic for a reason. Like it's already
dude,
a good
Jurassic
movie.
Park is a classic, a mainstay. I'm pretty sure it's entered into like the like the National Cinema Archive or something.
Yeah.
Um, if not, it should be. It's been memed and referenced to death. There's just so many moments in there where you just know it because it's been referenced so many times, like the water rumbling. You see that everywhere. Um,
I still want to know how they did that. Like I still want to know how they
they
did
just
the
they just
okay,
pounded on the car really hard.
well the car, yes, the car is easy, but
I
like
know
the
how
one,
they did it. The dinosaur was real.
But no, like the scene where he's staring out the car at the puddle with the like in the shape of the T-Rex foot, like it's got that and it
Yeah.
shakes then. Like this was made in an era where like just CGing that wasn't really an option, I don't think. Like
Dang,
so
if
like
only there was like if only there was some kind of like uh digital video disc that came with a some kind of like special feature that would show you like how they did things behind the scenes. But until we have something like that, I guess we'll never know.
I hate you sometimes.
Oh my god. All right. So yeah, I mean, not giving this a rating is fair, but I will definitely give a enthusiastic thumbs up that the 3D definitely benefited the movie and made it much, much more uh enjoyable to watch. Well, not
Well, yeah,
enjoyable,
if you're
just
a
I
fan
just
of
think it's
Jurassic Park,
immersive.
like
Immersive. If you're a
yeah,
fan of Jurassic Park, definitely definitely you would like it in 3D.
oh
Especially
yeah,
the one that they did most recently for the anniversary.
yeah. No, it turned out very, very well. And also, it's just nice finally being able to see this movie in theaters. Like, I like that they're
Yeah.
bringing the older movies back
Yeah.
to theaters
Yes.
so that a younger audience can appreciate the classics the way they were meant to be seen.
Right. I agree 100%. All right. That should sum it up for our first episode of Cinema Regulars. Shout out to Marcus Theaters for, supplying us with all our movies over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure how long it'll take me to edit this, but I'm pretty sure we'll be, down to do this again. What do we have
Oh yeah,
lined up for next week? Next week we have Equalizer 3, and they brought the Goonies back
yeah. So
for
that could
something like that.
that could be
So we
fun.
will probably be back to do that next week.
Well, we could also cover They Live too because they're showing that next
Oh,
week
that's
too.
right. That's right. We're watching They Live. They brought They Live back, and we're watching that the day after.
So we could just
The more
knock
video,
all three out.
the more videos that we make of this, the more concerned our audience is gonna get for the amount of movies we're seeing over the months.
Oh yeah, for a reference, we have already
No,
seen. No, should
yeah,
we not tell
oh
them
yeah,
that
yeah.
how many
That's
we've
not.
already seen this year?
Uh, it might be concerned. We'll just leave it at it's a very concerning number.
My wallet
We'll we'll
hurts.
we'll
We'll
give
put
them
it at that.
we'll give them a grand total at the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. Well,
All
hope
right.
you guys
Well,
enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and we will be back. So until then, see you later.
yeah. Bye.